Okay, class, today we're going to further discuss what we started in class today with this idea of the Toulmin model. Some of it might be a reiteration or review of what we did in class today because I'm making this video before we actually start the lecture in class. So I'm actually just going to start from the beginning. So we have this idea that a Toulmin model shows this idea of evidence and taking the evidence to the actual claim. What I'm going to start with is the idea of discussing these words that are here within the page itself, so the 6 words. Then we'll look at how it's actually written, and then here in the corner we're going to actually start practicing it as part of your homework. And then we'll do some more practice in class too. This is one of the more complex aspects of the chapter, and as you notice, the words here are ones that we have seen before within the chapter. So keeping in mind that everything we have builds on the previous aspects of the chapter with this idea of argument. So the Toulmin model is best used in the conclusion aspect of a essay because it sums up and reiterates your entire arguments in one complex sentence that summarizes the entire thing. So we start with this idea of evidence. We had 6 types of evidence that we went over between first-hand and second-hand, and we had the 3 types of claims that we've used: claim of fact, claim of value, and claim of policy. So keeping in mind this idea of the evidence leading to the claim along with these 4 aspects to add to it. Okay, so the first one we have is this idea of an assumption. The assumption is like the minor premise of a syllogism or a deduction. It's this idea of what you're testing against the universal aspect that you're picking or against the major premise, so against that general aspect. So this is your specific. Now the backing backs up that specific because it's a secondary piece of evidence. So keeping that in mind is important. Now the qualifier is used with this idea of, yes, it feels like it's weakening your argument a little bit, but it makes your argument not feel absolute. So it makes it feel like it's not always that way, because not always is your argument going to be 100% in one fashion. So you throw in a qualifier there to kind of help you be a little weak, but also to where you can actually back up and say, hey, I said it wasn't 100% of the time. In the book on page 126, it actually gives you a list of words that fit with the qualifier aspect. So when you use words like usually, probably, maybe, in most cases, and most likely, it helps to weaken that argument. And several of in your essays, I circled the idea that you were using too many of those qualifiers. 1 or 2 here and there is okay, but if you start to overuse them, it weakens it way too much. The reservation, which is the final aspect here, it goes with the conditions that qualify your argument. So it kind of fits in with that idea of a rebuttal and makes it kind of like your counter argument backed in there as well. So if we look at the formal aspect, and this is also in the textbook on page 126, it shows you how to actually write it. So there are certain words that you need to get used to using in there. So because, and then this is where you would put your evidence, comma, therefore, this is where you would put your claim, and then you'd put another comma, the word since, and this goes your assumption, on account of, so you're backing up your assumption that you're making, another comma, and then you put unless this happens, and that would be your reservation. Now the qualifier aspect is mentioned in the book as well. So we're going to go over the one that's in the book. I'm going to show it to you piece by piece with this idea of needing an umbrella when it's raining. I know it seems kind of oversimplified, but hopefully it helps you to actually grasp this and look at it, because this isn't just something that you use with big picture issues. It's something you can also use with small little tiny things that you kind of play around with in your head as well. So the main aspect is the idea of, do you need an umbrella when it's raining? So in the book on page 126, you look at this idea that they have the evidence of, if you look outside, it's raining. So you know it's raining. So now it's just a decision of, do you actually need that umbrella or not? So the evidence would be, it is raining. The claim would be, I should take my umbrella. So connecting those is the important aspect. The assumption is, and remember that we're testing this, that this is your first aspect or your minor premise that you're using to test. It says an umbrella will keep me dry. So since an umbrella is going to keep you dry, that might be a good thing to have when it's raining. And it keeps you dry in the backing because it's waterproof. Okay, so that backs up that assumption and gives you that evidence. The qualifier is that you'll probably need it. It's not that you most definitely will, because what if it stops raining? What if it's light rain? What if you have a hood? There are a lot of other aspects in here. And the reservation the book uses is this idea of the umbrella might have a hole in it. Okay, so wrapping this all up together on page 127, you see how it's actually written out. Because it is raining, therefore I should probably take my umbrella, since it will keep me dry on account of its waterproof material, unless of course there is a hole in it. So looking at that full aspect is important. I highly suggest that you read the other examples in the book on page 127 and 128, because they will greatly help you. Now I want you to do this as an example within your notes, to help you, and tomorrow we're going to actually share some of these Toulmin models that you come up with in class from your homework. So I gave you the idea of what I want you to write a Toulmin model for. Now what I want you to do in your notes is I want you to write down each of the 6 pieces here, and then I want you to actually write out the Toulmin model using the method here. Okay? So now remember, a qualifier is not always necessary, so you don't have to use it. So in your notes, list the 6 things and then actually use it to fill in the aspects of your Toulmin model. And your topic is grades should be abolished because they add stress to the learning experience. So you come up with the ideas and the aspects. Sorry about that. You come up with the ideas and the aspects, write out the full one, and tomorrow we will discuss it in class. Have a great night.